Culture Club play the Three Arena on the Dublin Docks Tuesday the 3rd of December upcoming. They're going to perform their first two albums, Kissing to be Clever and Colour by Numbers, in full and in sequence. Boy George, good morning to you.
Absolutely, in sequence. We've been having this conversation for the last few days. Are we doing it as it is? I'm like, yes. Let's not argue.
It's definitely happening like that, in full order. Okay.
Yes.
We know exactly what to expect. Are you well this morning? How are you?
Very good, yes, very good. Lovely day. I've been up since 6.
Oh, what have you been doing?
I've got an art show this week, so I've been kind of finishing some things and just kind of, just kind of cooking and, living.
From 6 a.m. You never stop working. You could. I presume you've made enough money now to just lie in bed all day, do nothing.
Well, I don't know whether that's the reason why everyone works. I mean, work is. I really enjoy it. I enjoy it. I don't sort of. People always say, oh, it must be really stressful. I wish people would remove that sentence from the world.
Yeah.
Because it's like throwing a wet blanket on someone. Oh, you must be tired. Oh, you never stop. And to me, it's like I just really enjoy working. I mean, I don't see it as. Well, I don't really have a regular job, so I'm quite lucky. You
get to jump in and do exactly what you want, when you want.
To a certain degree. And obviously, when you go on tour, you've got to, there's things to do. You're always working for someone, realistically,
Yeah, living the dream nonetheless. Come here, Dublin is your ancestral home. Will your Irish cousins be going to the gig on the 3rd of December?
All of them. Yeah, all of them. Always. I mean, the last time I remember somebody went out the back to see, because obviously there's O'Dowds, there's Glynn, there's all sorts of names, and went out the back and shouted a few names out, and there was quite a lot of people. But that's always good.
It is.
It's good to have that kind of family thing at a gig, and it's always Dublin's always a great gig. I mean, we've always had great gigs in Dublin, always.
Yeah, you're really welcome here because you've got people from all around the country here, don't you? You've got obviously Wellington Street, Dublin 7, that was your mother's origins in the city centre, Finglas, Tipperary down south, Ballymena up north. You've got a really lovely spread across all of the whole island.
I've got relatives all over, and it's amazing when you bump into people, like, when you're travelling around Ireland and someone says, I'm a cousin, or and then you start questioning them. Give me some names, and it's always amazing. Obviously, on my dad's side, I don't know as many of my relatives, so that's always fun when you meet people from my dad's side.
Uh-huh. I hope you're making sure the credentials are tested. I mean, short of doing DNA swabs, there's going to be a lot of people going, oh, yep, that's me. I'm related to Boy George.
Well, I meet a lot of people in America called, O'Dowd, and obviously... Yeah. There's Chris O'Dowd. I'm sure some way we're probably related in some way. It's like, it's not that common a name.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't for sure. And you're one of Mrs. Brown's boys as well, potentially.
I am. Well, I'm weirdly related through my cousin's married to his wife's sister, which I think is the most brilliant thing ever.
It's a very Irish connection. Irish cousins there.
No, but also, not just to get the Irish thing, Mrs. Brown, just the fact that I'm related in some tenuous way. It's just insane.
And I would say you tell just as many dirty jokes as well. Are you familiar with the Irish accent? Because you're obviously you're a chameleon, obviously.
A little. I mean, I often sort of tell people things my mum used to say, My mum used to have these sayings, we'll say, what's for dinner? I don't know if I can say this. Is this live?
Absolutely live. And you're one of us. It's completely allowed.
I used to say to Mum when I was a kid, what's for dinner? And she'd say, sheep, shite, holly and ivy.
Sheep, shite, ivy, holly and ivy. Okay.
Sheep, shite, holly and ivy.
Oh, my God. She was a ticket.
I'd say, Mum, what day is this? She'd go, Monday all day. When my mum was on the phone to her relatives, there was a lot of, where are we at? Jesus, a lot of that stuff,
What day is it? Tuesday all day. Yeah, that's a good one.
Exactly. My mum was brilliant with one-liners, very funny.
That's Dinah O'Dowd. I'm so sorry to hear that you lost her last year.
Absolutely. It was an awful experience, but she's always with me. You know what I mean? The only frustrating thing in my life right now is that I used to call my mum about everything. Anything that happened, anywhere I went, what I had for dinner, new cushions. My mum was always the first person I called. And I was talking to my brother about this the other day. We both agreed it's annoying that I can't call mum to tell her about this. You know, that was the only thing I really miss, is having those kind of conversations with my mother and getting her views on everything, you know.
It's a big gap in your life.
It is, but, you know, I do really feel like her presence all the time. I really feel like that she's here all the time, and I talk to her a lot like a mad person, and I always know what she'd say about things, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You have to
basically get on with it. That would be my mum's answer to everything.
Well, even the way
my mum wasn't a big fan of arguing against what's happening. She'd say, well, that's what the situation is. Get on with it. You know?
Okay. And she had an amazing story, didn't she? Coming from Ireland, going across to England.
Exactly. I mean, my mum wrote an amazing book called Christ Salty Tears. Mm-hmm. And there was things that she didn't put in the book, like the fact that she ran away at 14 to England.
Wow.
And that my grandmother sent her sister, who was only a year older, to go to Liverpool to try and find her with no address.
Extraordinary.
How Irish is that?
Yeah. And in her whole story...
She never mentioned that at all. So I think that rebellious side of me definitely comes from my mother.
Yeah, you have to get out from where you are to shine in the world.
Exactly.
That seems to be the message. Because we've enjoyed Who Do You Think You Are and the things that have been dug up there. I mean, it's just amazing. Your ancestors don't seem to have rested at all, or had any. No one seemed to have any boring time at all in your bloodline.
It was really interesting doing that program and discovering, the connection to Kevin Barry and the song that I grew up with and heard as a kid every Christmas. My Auntie Kitty used to always put on that song when she'd had a few drinks. And so I knew the song, and for some reason I just convinced myself that I was related to Kevin Barry. And then obviously it turned out when I did the program, it was Thomas Bryan, and, he was one of Kevin Barry's men. And it was mad to kind of put a story to that song,
Yeah. What a great connection to have. I mean, when we...
Yeah, amazing. I mean, as I say...
When we look at Culture Club, it's hard to imagine that the influence of Irish rebel songs is in there, but it must be.
Well, I mean, Irish, people love music, singing. I feel like singing's in my bones. I feel like it's just part of my DNA. I feel like, my family were quite musical. My mother sang all the time. She loved pop music. She always had the radio on. I came home one day and caught her listening to Space Oddity, which was mind-blowing. She was ironing to my favourite Bowie album. And, my mum just loved the music. When she come to my gigs, she knew all the words. She'd sing along, so proud.
Brilliant memories to have.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. She was a terrific woman, and she's obviously very strongly with you. Even the way you're telling the jokes that
absolutely.
You tell.
And, she would be there, when we play in Ireland, she'd be there up front row, loving it.
You mentioned Bowie there. You actually came to know him a little bit and meet him quite a few times?
When I say know him, obviously, when I was a kid, I sat outside his house. I went to see hundreds of concerts. And I got the chance to meet him. I had dinner with him once in New York, which was amazing.
Yeah.
I spent an evening with him, and he was just so charming. He was everything I expected him to be. Funny, interested in sort of, all sorts of different things. We had some quite interesting conversations about Russian art movies, EastEnders, British tea. But he was very playful, and he obviously knew that he knew how to behave around people. Do you know what I mean? He was just very classy.
How do you mean he knew how to behave around people?
Well, he was very conscious of who he was. He was David Bowie. You know what I mean? And even though I was obviously also famous, there was kind of, because I think stars from the 70s, the Bowies, the Elton Johns, the Rod Stewarts, they were treated very differently, and they're sort of slightly more nebulous in a way.
Yes.
They're kind of, if you've been a fan of someone, it's sometimes really hard to get past that feeling, when you meet someone that's a total hero, not just someone that it's been on telly, but someone that's changed your life. I mean, Bowie really instructed me in terms of who I was going to become, and, the type of music I make, and I always reference him when I'm working, and I always think about the things he did. He was an artist too. You know, he definitely never sat still. I mean, he worked a lot as well.
Yeah, they're like monuments, some of those kind of original famous celebrities from the 70s, and then they're just humans cracking jokes about tea bags, I presume.
I don't know if Bowie was ever really a human, though.
Yeah, no, he wasn't.
in the sort of traditional sense. I mean, there was always something about him. I feel like he moved around on casters. It was kind of special.
I know. It's kind of bizarre when you think of him appearing in those Ricky Gervais sketches that he decided to do that. But it sort of adds to
I saw
the
a thing last night with him and Kenny Everett, which I'd never seen before, which is hilarious. So, yeah, he had a very playful side, you know. He had a great sense of humour.
Because we're talking about these first two albums, Do You Really Want to Hurt Me was really the huge breakthrough for you. Karma Chameleon, obviously, biggest hit worldwide. The singles it sold are kind of incredible to look at now. But there's an accidental kind of breakout for that song, isn't there, on Top of the Pops?
Well, I definitely didn't want that song out. You know, I was like, when it came to the third single and Virgin said they wanted to put out Do You Really Want to Hurt Me, I was like, oh my God, this is the end of it. You know, we're never going to get anywhere. It's too slow. It's too personal. It's just an album track. And, you know, I was really surprised by the success of that song because I really thought it was the end of us. You know, I thought, well, that's it. No one's going to play this. So it's quite interesting. And we've just re-recorded it with Sia. And I have to say, I think it's better than the original.
Wow.
Which is a bit of a shock because I don't think you ever feel like that about something that's so classic. But, you know, we sent it to Sia. She worked on it, sent it back, and I was like, oh my God, this is interesting. And it's, I don't know, I feel like she's cut out all the small talk. It's just in your face, pop, like you can't believe. And,
did you direct her?
No, not really. I mean, musically, we sort of, you know, we did a sort of new version of it, and then she did her thing on it. And, you know, I think it's really exciting. And also re-recording these tracks. I mean, obviously, Kissing to Be Clever, I've been re-recording it for the last few weeks. And you listen to it and think, what was we thinking? It's so weird. It's Latino. It's a bit like, it's a bit this, and it's so many weird elements in the music. And I was thinking, you know, yesterday, thinking, where did that come from?
Isn't that amazing?
Was it John? Was it Roy? Was it Mikey? Was it just accidental? You know, and obviously listening to the lyrics are very, very naive, and they're all about heartbreak and how horrible the world is. And you know, it's quite fascinating to kind of look at those songs, and very joyful, you know, in a kind of sad, melancholy way, which I think was always been Culture Club's thing, like happy, sad, like a bit of an oxymoron, you know. It's like sad songs to put you in a good mood.
I'm amazed because you would have spent all your life being asked, what does this song mean? What's going on here? And here you are 40 plus years later looking back at music going, I don't know what was happening other than that you were just very young.
Well, I wanted to be, you know, I was a huge Susie and the Banshees fan, so I wanted to do that. I wanted to be in a sort of gothy, rocky band.
Right.
And then, of course, once we got the band together, it sort of just turned into its own thing. And, you know, I kind of went with it, you know, and, you know, it was unique because no one person really decided what it was. Mm-hmm. And we spent the last kind of 40 years arguing about what it is as well, which is hilarious. You know, it's what it's like.
These new tracks, when will we get to hear them with Sia?
The Sia track will be, I think, later, maybe, I'm not sure if it's this year, but hopefully soon.
Okay.
And you know, we're re-recording the entirety of Kissing to Be Clever, so
wow,
that's going to be out at some point as well.
And have you got different artists kind of guest starring along the way?
We've got a few people, yeah, but Sia's the kind of most important one because, you know, I'm a big fan of Sia, and, you know, I met her a couple of years ago. She came to my gig in New York. Mm-hmm. And, you know, just, you know, I really like what she's done. I just think it's very in your face, like, take this pop music.
Yeah. Are there other artists you're looking at around the world and with interest?
You know what? I've always think it's... Oh, I know what I could tell you. I've got... Do you know who Bauhaus are?
Do I know who, sorry?
Bauhaus.
I think it's Bauhaus you're saying. It's just slightly breaking up with me, the line at a crucial moment.
Sorry, Bauhaus. You know Bauhaus are?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I've done a duet with Pete Murphy, which is coming out in November, which is quite exciting. That's really off the wall, but it's fantastic. So I collaborate a lot with people. You know what I mean? Not necessarily famous people. I collaborate with all sorts of people. You know, I'm very open to that. I really enjoy that. You know, kind of working with a lot of people, and also you can do things virtually now. You don't even have to meet people.
No, it's
you just email it. It's a very different.
It is speeding things up from 1982 for sure.
It's just a whole other thing. It's a lot easier, you know.
Yeah. There are a couple of fans in touch. They have their tickets already for Boy George. Looking forward to a great 80s night. That's from Margaret. Someone else is going to be celebrating their 60th birthdays at the gig. That's from Claire and Anne Marie, and they can't wait to see you.
Lovely. Well, happy birthday. Is it Margaret, you said?
Claire and Anne Marie are saying, hi, George. Can't wait to see you on the 3rd of December.
It's their birthday? I thought you said it was the other lady's birthday.
No, it's definitely Claire and Anne Marie's birthday. Celebrating their 60th.
Well, happy birthday, girls.
Tell Boy George his book is fab. A bland read it is certainly not, says Patrick and Derry.
My book?
Your book.
Karma, yes. I mean, it's just... I'm going to write another one because I've missed so many things out on that book.
I think you changed your mind on things.
There's so much drama I missed out, you know, but I'll do another one.
I already thought there were multiple memoirs for some reason.
There are, but there's so many stories. You know, you finish your book and then you think, I forgot that. Oh my God. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I just feel like there's always more to say.
Yeah, no, it's... we'll be watching with interest, for sure.
Absolutely.
It's never dull. Listen, we better let you go because I know you've got cooking and things to go, and I presume you've got cushions to buy and all sorts of fabulousness that goes on in your world. I mean, you're talking about David Bowie. You're the monument to the rest of us. That's what we assume your life is. I'm going to finish with a track. It's a Miracle is the one I picked because I thought we'd go for a bit of a bop.
Absolutely. I'm going to dance in my living room.
Okay, I hope you do. Boy George, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for the chat.
Thanks, Oliver.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.